Hello, all you wonderful fools. It's time for the Mizzah Tee Show.
All aboard!
Here we go, let's start the show. Hosted by Mizzah Tee. Nintendo video games are the favorite ones for me. News and reviews, some gameplay too. Battling drones is what I do. M-I-Z-Z-A-H is the show by Mizzah Tee. It's the show by Mizzah Tee. It's tea time, fools. I feel good. That's good. Hold on, fools. I'll be with you in a minute. Yeah. That was good. Hey, fools. Mizzah Tee here, and I'm back again with another Tea Time commentary. I'm titling this episode, IP on Nintendo IPs. From the title, you can surmise this episode's subject matter. Some Nintendo fans, some pretendos, as well as Nintendo haters, believe that Nintendo rehashes and recycles their current IP too much and don't release any new IP. I'm going to destroy that argument right from the get-go. Here's a list of new IPs for Nintendo, starting from the year 2000 up until now. You'll see why I started at the year 2000 later, but part of the reason is to expose the hypocrisy of these IP crybabies. Alright, here's my list. Dylan's Rollin' Western, Pushmo, Sakura Samurai, Harmon Knight, The Last Story, Xenoblade Chronicles, Pandora's Tower, The Wonderful 101, Wii Sports, Wii Fit. You can merge the Wii series of games together. I have no problem with that. The Nintendo Wars series, Advance Wars and Battalion Wars, Fire Emblem, Golden Sun, Brain Age, Nintendogs, Steel Diver, Geist, Luigi's Mansion, Baten Kaitos, Soma Bringer, Legend of Starfy, Elite Beat Agents, Rhythm Heaven, Fluidity, Endless Ocean, Magical Vacation, Magical Star Sign, Excite Bots, Excite Truck, Super Smash Brothers, Electro Plankton, Chibi Robo, Custom Robo, Odama, Meteos, Hamtaro, Bit Generation, Art Style, WarioWare, Ash, Arcade Sealed Heat, Electro Plankton, Pikmin, Sin and Punishment, Disaster Day of Crisis, Drill Dozer, Tact of Magic, Glory of Heracles, Style Savvy, Freaky Forms, Fling Smash, Dynamic Slash, Nintendo Land, Polarium, Eternal Darkness. I didn't mention all of them here. There are roughly 75 new Nintendo IPs since the year 1999. A more complete list can be found on Nintendo Enthusiast website, linked below. Now yes, you're not gonna like all those games. Hell, you might not like any of them, but that doesn't invalidate them as being new IPs. The question isn't whether Nintendo makes new IPs in the genres that you like. The question is, does Nintendo make new IPs? Now, I know many of you fools are shaking your head and shrugging with anger behind your keyboards and talking to yourself in dispute of what I just produced, and are preparing to hit me with a proverbial wave of damage control. See, I can use that term too, fools. First, you dispute the handheld IPs and act as if they don't count. Perhaps games on Sony handhelds don't count, but Nintendo handhelds are very relevant. I'm just making a joke, don't get your thongs in a bunch. Fact of the matter is, Nintendo treats its handhelds with just as much significance, if not more, than its home consoles. Nintendo's first-party developers make those games on handhelds as well, which is why they have strained developer resources, and many of the handheld games are comparable to home console in significance. A lot of these games I mentioned are really good games. Many of the games are fun as f***, but if you're not a fan of the Nintendo style of games, which is its own unique thing, then does it really matter how many IPs they have? You wouldn't be interested anyway. If Nintendo released a new platformer called Ultra Whiz Kid in Colorful Land, would you be happy then? Hell no, fools. You just dismiss it as kitty crap and keep crying. Fact of the matter is, there are a shitload of great IP only released on Nintendo consoles, and that IP isn't always Nintendo directly making those games. Many times, those games are from second and third party exclusive deals. But let's get down to the brass tacks. Let's get down to the real deal, the nitty gritty, fools. Let's be honest. You want Nintendo to make games in the genres of third-person shooter and first-person shooters. Now, isn't that right? That actually leads me to another point. Nintendo employs second and third party to make exclusive games for their consoles that are in genres that they aren't particularly well versed in or well known for making games in. Now, they certainly could benefit for providing more offerings this way. Honestly, I would love if Nintendo would license out their old dormant IP to second and third parties and make all new types of games using those old characters and ideas. How about a full-on 3D beat-em-up in the vein of Fighting Force called Urban Champion? Sounds good, huh, fools? Or how about a post-apocalyptic sci-fi first-person shooter called Hogan's Alley? But anyway, aren't there enough f***ing games like that to choose from in the industry? Well, that is except for a 3D Streets of Rage type of brawler. But anyway, you got at least 2 companies that release, and I quote, new installments, end quote, to their FPS series every year like damn sports games. And let's be honest, that's all those particular first-person shooters are, at this point, a yearly sports game. And there's nothing wrong with that. If that's what you're into, so be it. I'm a pretty big sports fan, and even I don't buy sports games every year. Roster updates and shifting presentations ain't enough for me to spend $60 each year for every sport that I like each year. But anyway, Nintendo's internal development studios have a pretty organic development process. That is, by their own description, they begin that process by playing with and experimenting with gameplay ideas. They don't start with a character or an IP or a game genre in mind, and they do that because they don't want to limit their creativity. Only after they have put together these elements do they decide to pick an existing IP or decide that it needs to be a new one. It's just how they operate, and it's a process that has served them well, financially and critically. People cry about Mario, too much Mario, but the Mario games, even on Wii U, show an attach rate of around 70%. Currently, around 2 out of every 3 Wii U owners has Super Mario 3D World. And speaking of Mario, here's a little clip from my Throwback Tea episode on Super Mario 64 that I hope would dispel the idea, for some, about too much Mario milk. In nearly 30 years, we've had 6 2D Mario games on console and 4, that's right, 4 3D Mario games in nearly 20 years. The 3D Mario games are wildly different, with Mario 64 to Sunshine and the Galaxy games as well. Not as many Mario games come out as the haters would have you believe. Mario Sports, Mario Party, and even Mario Kart are not Mario platformers. But I digress. I believe if Nintendo felt there was something they could bring to the third or first-person shooter genre, they would have done so already. Hell, didn't they say, well, Miyamoto said, his reason for not doing a new F-Zero is because he couldn't think of something fresh to bring to it. F-Zero GX is the pinnacle of that series, and it was developed by Sega. I just find it sad that the Wii has so many different games in so many different genres, many of which are damn good games, but most people focused on what it didn't have, like HD graphics or a traditional controller. Are you fools aware that the Wii has 70, not 7, but 70 million seller third-party games? There is a ton of new IP in your favorite genres that can only be found on that Nintendo console. But you fools only focus on the games that don't and aren't coming to Nintendo consoles. But you drones never talk about the games on Nintendo consoles that aren't coming to your favorite piece of plastic. Motherfucking hypocrites. But hey, I guess that doesn't count, right, fools? Fools act like just because you're controlling a new character with a quote, unquote, new story, that makes the game so new and different. Please, are you gamers really that dense? Oh well, my guess is that you'll just call this damage control, right? Well, now isn't that original? My next tea time will be on that very subject. I'm sure you'll be fascinated. But hey, I don't want fools crying over my onions again. But enough of that bullshit. If you don't like Nintendo's style of games and gameplay, no new IP from them will change that. They're not going to convince you, no matter what they do, because you just enjoy crying too much. More than you enjoy playing games. Fools! Nintendo has gotten a ton of first-party IP throughout their history that can cover just about every genre of games. And they have decided to get back to licensing out their IPs, possibly to developers who love making third and first-person shooters. So perhaps you'll get your wish. But my guess is even if you do, you'll find something else to cry about to justify why you don't like Wii U. You'll keep moaning and hissing, booing and pissing because you've been invested in that agenda far too long now. So that when you do finally cop that Wii U, what little credibility you had will turn to yellow liquid excrement and run down your leg. Cause out of all the reasons you're crying and pissing about the Wii U, it's really only gonna take one certain game, one certain IP to make you buy that weak U. Ain't that right? And all the bogus new IPing you've been doing will be exposed. Fools, that's it for this commentary. All right, fools, thank you for watching. Fools? Oh yeah, one more thing. Play Nintendo, fools. I feel good. That's good.